In this lesson, we're going to run through how Amazon will take what you're targeting and match it to specific search queries that are happening on the platform every day. We'll be talking about what match types are and how you can best utilize them. By the end of this lesson, you should have a strong understanding of the differences between match types across all campaign types and ad types. You'll be able to explain the difference between keywords, search terms, and how we can use each of them to help us scale ad accounts. Think of it like this. Let's pretend we're selling tennis rackets again. You set up your campaign and you tell it which keywords to target. You're telling Amazon what you think is most relevant to your product through your targeting. You can then tell Amazon how specific you want to be with that target. So Amazon provides multiple match types that can vary in terms of specificity. Each match type has its own place and purpose, and they all represent different points on a spectrum from more specificity to more broad targeting. If you're looking to be more specific in your targeting and you don't want Amazon's algorithm placing your ads in places other than what you're targeting, then you would move towards more specificity. If your goal is to do more research and find longer tail variations of your top keywords so that you can reach more potential shoppers and generate deeper market penetration, then the broader approach is going to work best. By gradually becoming more and more specific with your targeting, you can effectively control where your product shows up, how much you're paying for it, and put the product in the most likely places to convert. The more you move towards being more broad, the more flexibility you're allowing in the placement of your ads. The queries you show up on will vary greatly depending on the match types that you use. Now, it's important to understand that match types vary based on which campaign type you're using. Sponsored products, sponsored brands, and especially sponsored display have different targeting settings available to them. And match types are primarily most relevant to sponsored products and sponsored brands. So let's break those down first. For sponsored products, you have two different campaign type options. You can use auto campaigns or you can use manual campaigns. Now the match types vary between which one you select. We'll start with auto campaigns. So for auto campaigns, you have 4 different potential match types that you could use. So within auto, we have loose match, we have close match, we have substitutes, and we have complements. And each of those is different. Each one's targeting a little bit of a different segment or a different audience. So let's dive into what each of those do. Let's start with loose match. Loose match will show up on terms and keywords that are loosely related to your product. That's why it's called loose match. Close match will show your ads to shoppers who use search terms closely related to your products. Substitutes will show your ads to shoppers who view the detail pages of products that are similar to yours. And finally, complements will show your ads to shoppers who view the detail pages that complement your product. So like a cutting board to a knife. Auto campaigns are typically best used for research purposes, where you're allowing Amazon to dictate where your ads show up. For that reason, they fall about as far away from the more specificity end of the spectrum as you can get. Think of auto campaigns like casting a big wide net over a large school of fish, and you're going to reel that net back in and see what you caught, or where your product converted in our case. You don't know what kind of fish you're going to pull in. You just know that there are some fish out there, and you're going to go try to catch some of them. The goal of an auto campaign is to find search terms and ASINs that have proven to convert for your product, and then transition or migrate those search terms or ASINs into manual targeting, whether that be within sponsored product, sponsored brand, or display ads. This is called keyword graduation or keyword harvesting. Now, of the auto campaign targeting types, we found that loose match and substitutes are the most effective at generating conversions and discovering new terms and ASINs to target within your manual campaigns. The others tend to have mixed results, particularly complements. We'll discuss keyword harvesting in a separate lesson, but for now, that's all you really need to know about auto campaigns. So let's dive in to manual campaigns now. For manual campaigns, which would include sponsored products and sponsored brands, because sponsored brands is strictly manual targeting, no auto targeting, you have some different match types available to you there within these manual campaigns. So let's break down what those are. So we have our manual. First, we have broad, and we'll get into what each of these are specifically in just a second. We have modified, broad, phrase. We have exact. Finally, we have product attribute targeting, or we'll just call it PT, product targeting. So those are the different match types that are available to you within manual campaigns. Let's break down each one of those. Let's start with broad. Aside from auto campaigns, broad match targeting is the most flexible, hence the term broad. Broad match placements still remain closely tied to your keyword, but can display on synonyms, misspellings, or variations of your keyword that you're targeting. Let's say you're selling tennis rackets, and you add the keyword tennis rackets to your manual targeting campaign as a broad match keyword. That product ad could show up on the exact term tennis rackets, it could show up on rackets tennis, it could show up on tennis ball, or rackets for tennis, or even tennis shoes. As you can see, broad is effective in the same kind of way that auto campaigns are. They allow you to cast a wider net to find terms you may be missing or haven't thought of. Broad match tends to represent a larger volume of sales, simply given the number of placements and possible keywords that you could win with a broad match. But typically, due to that same reason, they have lower conversion rates. Broad match campaigns are also notorious for producing one-off fluke traffic or fluke conversions. One-off traffic or fluke conversions is just conversions or traffic that Amazon algorithmically displayed to someone or algorithmically generated. Like you're targeting tennis rackets and you get a one-click, one-sale conversion on the term sweatbands or something totally unrelated to your product. These kind of targets are really great for helping capture more sales, but terms like this shouldn't necessarily be graduated into manual targeting simply due to the lack of relevance to the product that you're promoting. With proper negating, you can turn broad match into an extremely powerful tool and leverage this match type to continue to discover keywords that are highly relevant to your product while limiting your presence on irrelevant searches. Broad match is a great tool for helping you find out where your product converts and where you should focus your targeting. Now let's get into modified broad match. Modified broad match is a keyword match type that allows advertisers more control over their broad match keywords. This match type was first rolled out in Google Ads and has since been adopted by Amazon as a component of their ad platform capabilities. Modified broad match is a way for advertisers to reach a wider audience than exact or phrase match, but with more control than the standard broad match. To use modified broad match in a keyword, you simply place a plus sign directly in front of the word with no space. This signifies that the word must be present in the shopper's search query in order for the ad to be delivered on a query. For example, let's say you're targeting the keyword plus women's plus shoes. So plus women's plus shoes. And pretend there's no space there. This would mean that both women's and shoes need to be a part of the search term to win that placement. But the keywords can appear in any order. Just like other match types, modified broad match also accounts for close variations. This means misspelling, singulars, plural forms, abbreviations, and other variations of the modified term can still trigger your ads. Now, let's dive into phrase match. Phrase match is similar to broad match in that it allows some level of flexibility, but it becomes slightly more specific. Essentially, if you're targeting tennis rackets as a phrase match keyword, Amazon will show your ad on search results that contain that phrase, and most importantly, without breaking up the two words in that phrase. Amazon has the flexibility to show the ad on searches that have words before or after the keyword, but it can't break up the phrase. So, for example, you're selling tennis rackets, you could show on the exact keyword tennis rackets, you could display on green tennis rackets, you could display on tennis rackets for boys, but you could not show up on Wilson tennis ball and racket. Amazon will maintain the integrity of the phrase you provide and attempt to place the ad on searches that contain that phrase. Notice that your keyword phrase remains intact and in the correct order, even though variations are allowed in each word. You can see that by utilizing phrase match, you're eliminating customer searches and placements where customers aren't really looking for what you're selling. In this way, you are slightly narrowing your target audience and targeting terms that are more closely related to the input of your keyword. Phrase match can be great for continual research, but also helps you eliminate excess spend on searches not as likely to convert. Phrase match offers a more conservative alternative and approach than broad match. By now, you can probably tell what this next one is going to be. With each layer of match type, we have become more and more specific, getting closer and closer to exact match, to an exact match of the keyword that you're targeting. Exact match is exactly how it sounds. Whatever you're targeting is what the ad's going to show up on. So if you're targeting tennis rackets, then you're only going to show up when people search tennis racket. Well, sort of. Exact match isn't always exact because it does allow for some variation in the search. Like it can be a plural or a single variation. This is only within sponsored products. For sponsored brands specifically, exact match has the flexibility to show on plurals and singular variations, misspellings, synonyms, and even intent-based queries. This is a relatively new development at the time of this recording and is something you should definitely keep an eye on. The performance on sponsored brand exact match, intent-based targeting, tend to have lower conversion rates than the exact intended target, which is probably to be expected, but just an important thing for you to know. One of the downsides to being too focused on exact match and following a more manager control end of the spectrum is that you limit your discoverability of new terms in searches. That's why it's important to have a good mix of match types, and we'll get into how to structure that out in another lesson. Exact match tends to produce the highest conversion rates, but a lower volume of sales in some cases due to just limitation of exposure. Exact match scale is highly dependent upon the search volume that a particular keyword gets. If you are exact match targeting a large number of terms that all get a lot of search volume and you're winning placements, you can expect exact match to drive a significant amount of sales. However, if you have a bunch of harvested keywords into your exact match campaign that all get really low search volume every month, then exact match isn't necessarily going to be a big volume driver for you. You'll constantly be trying to increase your bids and still not getting any additional visibility. At the end of the day, you're wondering why, and it's often due to the volume. People just aren't searching for it, so there's not as many impressions to win. Exact match should be used to target the most relevant, highest value, most frequently searched terms for your specific product. You should use exact match to confidently place and own placements on key searches and ensure that your product is being considered on the most relevant and competitive terms. Exact keywords are typically discovered in two ways: through keyword research or search term reports. And we'll get into how to do all of that later. But finally, let's discuss this last one, product attribute targeting. Product targeting is a match type that is available in sponsored products, brands, and display ad types. This match type allows you to show your ads to shoppers and placements on either your own or competitor detail pages, as well as search queries related to the products you're targeting. The best way to find which ASINs to target is through a search term report and finding which ASINs have produced conversions for the specific product you're promoting. If you recall, the substitutes targeting segment in auto campaigns allows your ads to show up on product detail pages that are related or similar to your product. Sometimes these result in placements on a competitor's detail page and a conversion for your product over theirs. Product targeting placements for sponsored products can be found all over the place, all over detail pages. However, product targeting placements are not just limited to placements on detail pages of the ASIN that you're targeting. When you're targeting an ASIN, sometimes what happens is you'll show up in search results. If you were to go into one of your product targeting campaigns and go into the placements tab, you would see that you're winning some placements at top of search and rest of search. How could that be if it was simple product targeting and only detail page targeting? The reason this happens is because you're not only targeting a specific page or an ASIN, you're targeting all the attributes that are associated with that particular product. So other search terms that Amazon thinks are related to that product. For example, if you sell tennis rackets and you're targeting a competitor's product, you may start to see your ad show up on search results for a term like the competitor's brand name plus tennis rackets, or some other term that's related to the product that you're targeting that maybe you're not currently targeting in any of your other ads. Sponsored brands also provide product targeting options. For us, this is generally not a big emphasis point, as we tend to focus on utilizing sponsored brands in those top of search headline positions where we see the best results. The placements of sponsored brands on detail pages are not as captivating and tend to not convert as well as sponsored product or sponsored display placements do on detail pages. The placements of sponsored brands on PDPs is also typically at the very bottom of the page, and sponsored brand videos actually tend to appear slightly higher up on the PDPs, so those may be a favorable option for product targeting within sponsored brands. Now, sponsored display product targeting offers a valuable placement right below the bullet points and below the buy box on a detail page. This offers a couple different paths for implementation. You can use sponsored display product targeting as a brand defense mechanism to protect key placements on your own detail pages. You could cross-promote the tennis balls you sell on your tennis racket detail page, or you can put an ad for your tennis racket right below the add to cart button or below the bullet points of your competitor's tennis racket detail page. Sponsored display also offers some targeting tactics where you can target products similar to your product from a specific set of competing brands. We'll touch on those later. All in all, product targeting can play an integral role in your brand defense or competitor targeting strategies and can be leveraged across the different campaign types in a strategic offensive move, seizing valuable real estate on competitor detail pages. It offers you a unique avenue to position your products right where they matter the most, directly in front of potential customers. It's all about understanding your competitor landscape, recognizing where there are gaps, and positioning your product as the best alternative. Now, as we come to a close on this comprehensive deep dive into Amazon ads, match types, and targeting, remember this: knowledge is only potential power. The real power comes when you apply it. So take what you've just learned today, put it into action. All right, I'll see you on the next lesson.